Now picture this scene in Paradise. Lee Horsley is a wounded gunfighter.
Yeah.
And you wake up and there's an angelic child in front of you and you say, this must be heaven, and she says,
This must be paradise.
aren't they the same thing?
Never, never, not at all. The town of Paradise is quite different from what anyone thinks of as heaven. It's a town that's basically, at one time, was very, very hot with the mining industry, and now everyone's left. There's no church, there's no schools, there's really not a lot there.
But there is a banker who loves to foreclose.
Absolutely, yes, she's very strict about that. I've met a few of those in my life.
She's kind of your nemesis in this series, I guess, or is that the correct word?
I think so, yeah. There's the nice part about the direction that the show can go. There's so many possibilities. We didn't really get into the pilot the wonderful parts of her past that we will be dealing with, which is great. She's got a past, and the man that was no good and left and will probably eventually show back up. So there's a lot of wonderful directions that we can go with it.
Where does Paradise occur? Where are you shooting?
Well, we shot the pilot in Northern California, which is wonderful, and unfortunately it's cost prohibitive to shoot episodic television up there that far away. I think they've tried it several times, and it just doesn't work. But I love that alpine look that it got.
Yeah, early morning sunlight, cross lighting, dust in the air, so you get shafts of light.
Yeah.
There's a look to this thing, it's spectacular.
It was actually very cold in the mornings up there, and which was just super because the wardrobe, as you'll see, is all wool and about 900 layers, and it's a great look. But along about noon, it starts to get a little rough underneath all those clothes.
Do you kind of delight in what I would call a sort of swashbuckling outfit, the cloak and the crossed holsters and the kinds of textures in the clothing? I mean, the boots. It's a good look.
Yeah, it's something that I'm real close to. I have my own horses, and I'm a steer roper, so all of it comes kind of naturally. But to be able to get dressed up and all that stuff is a lot of fun, because I've been what you'd call a closet cowboy all my life. I came from a farming background, and all my relatives were farmers, and I used to get to watch the cowboys across the street having a good time, and I never got to be an actual cowboy until later on in life. So it's something that I'm real close to.
Yeah, maybe Matt Houston brought you a little closer to it, but obviously it was a contemporary drama. And
well, that's a whole different ball game. I mean, the fastest thing he had was the cars and a few of his dates, I think. But, other than that,
does any of this mean then that as a child growing up you liked westerns, and maybe since then you've regretted their not being around?
Absolutely. I mean, they were my favorites. I remember watching them with my dad, and still to this day, I go to the video store and you blow the dust off the ones that people haven't seen in a long time, and I just love getting handfuls of them. The Western was always a basic morality play. You knew who was right, you knew who was wrong. There was no gray areas. There was no. You didn't feel sorry for the terrorists. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
And it was just something that was real special for me as a kid. I loved it. I loved the romantic aspect of the West. And I think that's what's missing today, and hopefully it's time for them to come back.
You mentioned your own Western activities. Could you elaborate a little bit more? Do you like to hunt, for example, in the Midwest?
Absolutely. I've done quite a bit of bird hunting down around Mount Air, Iowa, we were talking about. I go with my dad and my brother down there all the time. But basically, I grew up and went to school in Colorado, so that's where I do most of the outdoor activity, and a lot of hunting and fishing up in the hills.
Finally, how about a brief tribute to the cameraman and production designer on this show? A last comment on the look of this thing, maybe.
Well, it was absolutely wonderful. I mean, you've got the key to it, and any time that you shoot a project like this, you've got wonderful locations, and you've got X amount. I think some of the prettiest stuff we shot was located up in Kennedy Meadows. We had to have the whole road plowed out. Now, we've got that location for 2 days, and especially when you're working with kids, you have a time frame that's very tough. To get everybody up there and get it going and to shoot is a major job, and when you only have 2 days to get that look, in that particular spot and make it visual throughout the whole picture is a real job. My hat comes off to those fellows down there.
Wonder if I could ask the camera to come in a little tighter on the whiskers, because is it an art to
Oh, God, we
keep
didn't
them-
cover up the gray, though.
to keep them half-shaved? Well, there it's fuller than in the show, but
Yeah.
how do you keep it half-shaved?
Well, the makeup man came up with something, I think it's called double-aught clippers.
It's a
I think he's
profile,
lying. I
yeah.
think it's just sheep shears, really. I don't think it has anything to do with anything special, but in order to match continuity, because it grows very fast,
Right.
that they have to keep knocking it off every 3 days. And I tried doing it myself, and I was terrible. I kept knocking big holes in it, and you'd see a big crater, and it'd be bald over here. It's
Well,
good,
male
good that
actors are kind of
somebody else.
stuck with this look now, aren't they? It's a big thing now.
Well, it was very popular. I like it just because I don't have to shave in the morning.
But in one scene, you start to shave,
Yeah.
and then you don't.
Well, and I think we tried to utilize that as his thought about going back. He was definitely going to give it a try with the kids, and then he thought better of it. Then he
That's a
realized,
great
and
touch.
that's part of what am I doing? I'm cleaning myself up. I'm changing myself. I can't do that. This is ridiculous. And so it was more of a statement than
Lee, it's a pleasure to meet you.
pleasure.
He's
I've
not in
enjoyed it.
heaven. He's not in heaven, but he's in paradise.
That's right.
Meanwhile, we're both here in Redondo Beach, California. I'm John Tibbetts for KCTV5.